Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. You may notice that the campus is a little bit quiet. There has been some computer issues, which has driven them out for the last couple days. So it's an early spring break, late spring break, I guess, summer break. So I'm going to go ahead and get this meeting started. So if I'm looking kind of lost, it's because I'm expecting to be using this, and then I got to go back to this. So just reviewing the agenda today, which you guys have the agenda to go over what's in front of you. Agenda, evaluation. Evaluations are very important to the work that we do. We'd love to get these back. It helps us. It helps our funding. You should also have a couple handouts specific to today's topic, including the ACE calculator and resilience questionnaire, the AOD Partnership, the discussion chart. This is something I'll explain a little bit, but I just want to make sure that you have them, as well as an informational handout on stress in the early brain growth, as well as training opportunities coming up. So that's what you should have in front of you. I also want to point out that there is a ton of resources over there as well. If you haven't received the Youth Risk Behavior Survey videos yet, those are available. They have been available. The booklets are over there, both the middle school and high school data, as well as informational flyers. If you are part of an organization, I ask that if you could please share them, post them, take some. There's information for parents around medication abuse through the Dose of Reality campaign. There is our brand new, hot off the presses, recovery coaching flyers. We're actually working in partnership with 211 to help with the referrals of this, and I was just kind of going over the numbers. You know, we're averaging about 5 referrals a week, and we haven't even really promoted this yet. So if you do have anywhere, or you do know people that could benefit from a recovery coach, we also have these little postcards as well over there. You can grab a stack. We have more if you'd like them in more numbers, but we just ask if you can help share those things. As well as there is a newer, it's been around for a couple months now, Nar-Anon, which is an anonymous group that is specific for narcotics and other drug abuse. Similar to Al-Anon, if you've heard of Al-Anon. There's a group that has started, and if you want to help promoting that, we have posters for that. As well as our medication Dropbox locations, we now have 7. So there's some posters, 2 different looks over there for that as well. And we have postcards for this, but I just did not pack them today. So there's a lot of information. We love going back with less. So please, go ahead, take some. And then finally, as far as materials over there, Healthy Marathon County Pulse, if you haven't heard of it, we've talked about it here a number of times, is a new one-stop shop data platform where any data that you could possibly want, from basic census data to specific health data to the Youth Risk Behavior Survey data and so on, you can go here and access it. You can actually build your own dashboard, so if you're working on grants or if you're working on specific issues, you can find your data here. This is something that I don't believe any other county in the state has. We do have some regional type of efforts, but this is something that's really unique to us. Come on in. Now I'm on camera saying, come on in. And the meeting packets are on the end over there. Make sure you grab a meeting packet if you came in late. Meeting packets are on the end. Sarah? Okay, good. So just to give you a couple updates, and we're going to get into the video, because the video is about an hour long, and I don't want to prolong that. Some of the things on your agenda were there on our April meeting. Our April meeting, with it being rescheduled, our turnout wasn't as high, but just to point out some of the things that are available in our community now. Mosaic, which is the new recovery community center. It's opened up at Emmanuel Lutheran Church. They are up and running, and they actually extended. They were 9 to noon every Monday through Friday, and they were able to extend, so they're there a full day on Mondays only. Right? Every Monday? Thank you. Ginny is going to be helping out extend those hours. So that is a great new initiative. You can stop down, check it out. It's a place where people can access recovery coaches or just really be supported in a supportive environment. The announcements included a number of training opportunities. Like I said, you do have one flyer in your packet that includes our tall cop, the Officer Jermaine Galloway, hidden in plain sight. If you've never seen him speak, or even if you have, that is a training that is well worth the investment of your time. It's pretty much 2 full days, 12.5 CEUs. There is early bird discounts, group discounts, as well as student rates. So just very excited to have Officer Galloway back in the community. So drug trends, drug culture, it's something, it's a little bit for everybody. So check that out. Don't forget that all of our meetings are posted to our YouTube channel, so you can always go back to those, which is why you don't have formal minutes in front of you, because I figured why type up formal minutes if you're really interested. Please go view them. And if you're interested, with Western Marathon County Healthy Communities is a sister, I would call, coalition to the AOD Partnership that really looks at how do you support youth in the rural part of the county. You can get involved there. Their next meeting is coming up this Thursday. If you're interested in viewing Lakeside Recovery, which is our medically monitored treatment program, we have Kyla here, who is their lead substance abuse counselor. What's your official title?
Lead substance abuse counselor.
All right. I just made it up. No, just kidding. So she's a lead substance abuse counselor. If you have specific questions about Lakeside, but there is an open house, go check it out. It is a beautiful location, and this is something that's great. This is the first time that they've ever had treatment right up front. This is a treatment center right up front. It's not hidden in the back. You don't have to go through specific doors or specific, through crisis, for example, in order to access it. So it's really a great location, and we're just really excited for them to be able to expand their programs. Please fill out your evaluations, and again, if you have CEUs or if you are interested in CEUs, fill out those forms, leave them with your evaluations. I sort them out and turn them in. One of the things that's not in front of you is that there is a video that's going to be shown at Cedar Creek. They're asking for registrations for this on June 20th. All these announcements are posted to our website. So if you go into the Google Calendar for AOD, they're all up there. So I'm just kind of going through them quickly. The drug identification training for education professionals. This is a free training. It's July 25th and 26th, 2 full days here at North Central Technical College in this very room. It is something that if you're interested in attending, you can reach out to Officer Melinda Pauls or Brent Olson, and they'd be happy to tell you more about it. This is the first of 2 recovery coach trainings that will be sent out through our weekly update. One thing that I did not remember to bring is a sign-up sheet, so I'm going to ask if we have any paper, or I will find some paper to pass around. If you please sign in, and if you don't already receive the weekly updates, include your email. If you already get the weekly updates, I don't need your email again. But if you don't and you'd like to start getting those so you know when these type of trainings come up, any trainings, any meetings, please make sure your email's in there. Annual meeting and training, the registration is closing in a week. It is a great training. The registration came out very late, in my opinion. So I do apologize for that. We've been trying to promote that it's coming, but the registration is now open. It's, again, well worth the time and energy to go. So is there any partner updates anybody would like to share before we start the video? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close down some of these things. We already did a sound check on it, so we should be good there. Should be. Man, I jinxed myself. Okay, so I'll stay up here until we get make sure the sound's right, and then we'll turn the videos, or we'll turn the lights down. Okay, so we'll just try to get some lights back on. But I want to make sure we're respectful of time. One thing that I did forget to mention I was planning on teeing this all off and setting it up and sharing some things with you and getting blinded. So we talked about this as relationships, at all ages. So one of the things that really stood out to me in there is that you can build it. So even if these things have happened in your childhood, how you can continue to build resiliency. And for those of you that weren't part of the Life Forum, the video is recorded, it is online at the United Way site. There's actually a really great speaker. His name is Tony Iniguez. Yes, I finally got it right. He's the trauma education specialist from Marshall Clinic Child Advocacy Center and Resilience Clinic. And he actually used an analogy, which I'm going to say, and then I'm going to turn over to Shannon. But he actually used the analogy of, if you can imagine 2 flowers next to each other, let's just pick an orchid and a dandelion. And how, as we try to take care of this orchid, sometimes no matter what we do, we give it all the things in the world, and it is probably one of the most finicky flowers that you could possibly ever try to grow. But when you look at a dandelion, the thing can get mowed over, and it just mocks you and pops back up again. Or you pull it out, and it grows again. And that's where he actually used that analogy for resilience, and just when we think about it, and I'm a big analogy visual person, so I guess I challenge you to kind of think of it that way, that, you know, even if you get mowed over, you know, it's how well you bounce and grow back, like the dandelion, so the mighty dandelion. So I'm going to turn over to Shannon, and I will try to get a little bit more light on this situation, unless we're good. Everybody's all right? And don't forget to fill in your little charts as well. But I'm going to turn over to Shannon. Dr. Shannon Young is the principal and lead guidance counselor for, is it both EEA and EGL now?
EEA, just
EEA. Okay, so I'm going to let her just say a little bit about how they use this particular video and so on.
So, yes, I'm Shannon Young. I'm the principal and counselor at EEA Learning Academy in the Wausau School District. We are a 6th through 12th grade school. We serve 80 students. So all of our classrooms are mixed. We have 4 main classrooms. And there is just so much. My head is just kind of swimming with all of the different things that I want to share with you in regard to ACEs and trauma and resiliency. And I was, you know, when some of this first came out and we started looking at trauma-informed care, and then the study on ACEs came out and we were looking at ACEs, and I had a couple of really pivotal moments. I was really excited when this video came out, because I had a couple really pivotal moments as we looked at this as a team. And one of them was, a couple years ago, we decided that before we were going to ask all of our students what their ACEs were, because you need to tread lightly with us, and I think I gave Dr. Jeff Lindell a heart attack a couple times, because I'm like, I just want to survey everyone in the school. And he's like, hold on a minute. You know, you need to make sure, we don't want to upset parents. You want to approach it respectfully. So what we decided we would do, because we have really strong relationships with our kids, is we decided that we would, I made a Google Doc, and I listed every kid's name down the side, and I listed the 10 ACEs out along the top. And I said, if you know that one of our kids has experienced this, put a mark in the box. And so we went through you know, we know our kids really well. We have really strong relationships with them. The data was very, very significant. Again, another heart attack for Dr. Lindell. He's like, it's high. It's very, very high, the numbers that these kids experience. But one of the pivotal moments for me was when we were going through that, and I was messaging back and forth one night with one of my staff members, and I'm looking at all the things, and I went, I need to count my own. Why haven't I counted my own yet? And I'm like, Carol, I have 6. I'm like, do you realize what my data, all the statistics, how much more likely to commit suicide, how much more likely to, you saw the numbers on there. I went, this is not a sentence. It is not a sentence for these kids. It's not a sentence for any one of us. I was like, I think I'm pretty functional, you know. But I think it's important that we look at it, and that's why I was so excited when this second piece came out. Because resilience, this is the piece where it's at. Because yes, I had 6, but when you flip your sheet over, I had a lot of those other things too. I had the strong parent. I had people at my school who did not accept less than from me because I had the brother who had went to prison, or I had the parents who were divorced. There wasn't an expectation that I was somehow not going to make it. I actually grew up in a really small town, 3 cousins, all of us were a stair step. All of us had probably really high, I haven't counted theirs up, but really high. And every year in that school for 4 years, one of us was either valedictorian or salutatorian, because we had the flip side of things as well. So we had those different levels of support. So when I look at the kids at EEA and I look at the work that we do, we are a school that is heavily, heavily built on relationships. That is the core underpinning of everything we do. Now, we recognize that in the grand scheme of things, if the kid is, you know, you've got the pie around the kid, we have to bring ourselves down to ground sometimes and go, okay, hold on. We do need to remember that we are the only piece of the pie that gives them their education. And that's why it's important that we continue to get community involved in the work that we do in schools. because we provide the education and we're the only piece of the pie that provides the education. We have to be able to focus on that. At the same time, we know we have to focus on these other things as well. We need to be able to address this. We use a lot of restorative practices at EEA. Every one of our rooms starts every morning with a circle. The circle is the time and the place where you can get everybody on the same page. If I wanted to create a mutiny at EEA, I would say we are no longer having circle on Monday, we're no longer gonna do highs and lows. I would have kids refusing to do anything for probably most of the day. I had a junior one time, that was last year, there's all this paperwork you have to fill out before the ACT test. This was a kid who was completely resistant to circles for the longest time. Sit there, don't say anything, pass. So I pulled them on a Monday morning because we needed to get the ACT paperwork done. And I pulled them during circle because it was non-academic time and I thought it would be the best time to just pull all the juniors out and do this paperwork. 30 minutes into it, when he hasn't filled out a single thing, like, what is going on? Why won't you fill this out? We're not in circle. You could have knocked me over with a feather because it was the last kid I would have expected that would have meant that much to him. It was Monday. It was highs and lows. It would have been his opportunity to have a minute to share what was going on with him, and it was that important to him. So we utilize that tool really well. We utilize relationships a lot. We count on our partners, and that is what has helped our kids end up still graduating and being able to move on to other things. The number of, so we're always looking for mentors. If you ever want to mentor a kid, let me know. I'll put that plug in now. But we've seen the impacts, and not only the impacts of partnering with the kids that way, and just really being honest about some of the stuff that's going on and letting it be okay to talk about it. We've seen the impacts of partnering with our parents in a very similar way. Now we're working on how we can deepen those relationships. I'm very excited because we were just notified just over a week ago that we're receiving a 21st Century Learning Center grant, and that grant is going to allow us to provide for some after-school programming, and one of the pieces we had written into our grant was a parent partnership coordinator. And I am so excited about what that is going to do for us in continuing to reach out to parents. Just before I came here, before I left school, texting with a parent whose kid didn't show up today. He's in truancy court. She's like, okay. I said, well, I'm going to send the person from intensive supervision over to pick him up if that's, if he needs that. She said, funny thing, he's moving really quickly now. And I said, great. And then her next text to me was, I don't think this is working. This is just ridiculous. What are we going to do in summer school? And I just had to say, it's okay. We just have to stay the course. We have things in place now. So a lot of it is just supporting and not judging. Years ago, how many of you know Sue Nowak? Many of you. Years ago, Sue Nowak and I had a conversation that was just pivotal for me. And we were talking about parents and drug use and all of these different struggles. And what we came down to was not one parent on the day that they had their baby sat in the hospital and said, I am just going to be the biggest screw up possible for you. I'm going to do the worst job I can to just see how bad I can make your life. That's not what we do. We have those babies, you're sitting there on that first day and you want to try to do the best you can. But when we have parents who are going into parenting with their own bag full of ACEs and their own bag full of trauma, it's really hard to overcome that. So our goal at school is we need to get this turned around. We need to work with our kids in a way now so that when they become parents, they have a better handle on this. They have a better handle on where they're coming from and what reactions they have to different things and maybe where those things are coming from. I think the film is phenomenal, and I think it's spot on. Most of your kids with a lot of ACEs, I think, are very resilient. I look at my kids at school, and they're very resilient. They've been through so many things, some of them, there would be adults that couldn't even fathom handling some of the things that they've been through. And yet, they just keep coming right back at it. I think the other thing, because I know our time is short, don't ever assume that a kid that you're seeing is okay just because they look okay on the outside. Because I've been very surprised several times. The divorced parents who show up at every family night together still. And then that's the kid that I end up with in my office who's suicidal. Never saw that one coming. So I think sometimes we assume and we think that because things look a certain way on the outside that, well, that kid must be okay. And we can't assume that. And that's why I love some of the things in here about asking some of the questions. And let's just start to be real about it. The first time that I shared that I had 6 aces was at a focus group thing we were doing for United Way. I was so nervous. Like I knew I was going to say it. And it's crazy how much shame I think we still associate with some of that, or we sort of question. It was years before I ever would have said publicly, I have a brother who went to prison. Like, my kids at school knew that. I've been working with kids for a long time. So I can tell you, at least 13 years ago, I had students who knew that. People like you that I work with professionally, probably only 2 or 3 years ago. Because we're afraid that people are going to judge us. But I had to take that as a lesson and go, wait a minute. If I'm feeling like people are going to judge me, and they know me professionally, and I've got degrees behind my name, and I've got, all these other things, well, then what about the person who doesn't feel like they have anything like that? They haven't established themselves professionally. How judged do they feel? So that's really shaped how I look at a lot of this. I'm seeing it work. We had graduation last Thursday, and I am told over and over again that our graduations are the best. They're just super, super heartfelt. So if you ever want the chance to get that really uplifting feeling and see some kids who probably were the underdogs to a degree, you just shoot me an email and I'll tell you when next year's is, and you can come and join us. But we are always looking for community partners. We have a great partnership now with the Medical College of Wisconsin. We have their students coming in and tutoring. We have other folks that come in and spend some time with our kids. We usually build that relationship first with some tutoring. Gives you something to talk about, and then the relationship really deepens from there. But any questions before I hand it back to Melissa? I feel like I kind of rambled a little bit. I get so excited about this, and 10 minutes is not a lot of time. But we are a resource in the community. If you are working with a family and a kid and you think they could benefit from a small environment that has adults that absolutely are completely devoted to these kids. There's only 80 kids. We really do get to know them. We get to know the families. Again, it's grades 6 through 12. They don't have to have anything. There's no criteria for getting in the school. It's just that the parent and the family think that this smaller environment would be better for their kid. So if you know of anyone who needs extra support that way, don't hesitate to reach out to me. We do tours with the families, and then the students shadow for a while. But it's very individualized learning as well. So if there are any learning struggles, that definitely helps also, because they get to move through a lot of the curriculum at their own pace, rather than everybody having to be on the same page at the same time. And that works really, really well for a lot of our kids. Every year we have for the last 4 or 5 years, we had at least one junior graduate a full year early. So there's definitely, a lot of success happening, but it happens because of the relationships. So make sure that you remember that in all of the interactions that you have with each other as adults and with kids. You could be that one person. It's not rocket science. It's one interaction at a time. And I think that's, they did a good job of showing that in the film. So, any questions?
Sam, bring her home.
quickly, my name is Sam Pinzel, and I'm a health educator at the health department here for Marathon County. ACEs has been named one of the 6 health priorities in our most recent community health improvement plan. And I am lead staff person to that health priority. So I just wanted to put it out there today. You know, I want to come to your tables and help you and support you with the work that you're doing, either to reduce ACEs or to increase resilience. Right now, I think where our community at is really about increasing community awareness on these really important topics. So if you want to do something similar today, show a screening, or you know, get some type of training, definitely reach out to me and I can be a resource to help do that. It's a community-owned plan, and so everybody's welcome to join in on this, and I think that's how we'll make the biggest impact. So either come see me and I can give you my email, otherwise Melissa can send out my contact information as well too. So.
And it is on the bottom of the charts that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
referenced a few times, so you have her information there. You can find her at Marathon County Health Priorities.org. There's information specific to ACEs there. If you want to ACE interface training, we have multiple people that are trained to do that training in the county. A couple colleagues that we work, I should say literally closely with, because he's in the cubicle right by us. Aaron Ruff is one of those trainers, and we have a couple others as well. So based on some feedback today, we are going to continue to borrow this video from Shannon to be able to do an encore presentation, hopefully by the end of June, just to set this up so people can view it again. And so just kind of watch that, share that with others that you feel would benefit from this. I'm aware of a couple copies of this video being in the community, so it may be something that could be loaned, but we're also going to be looking at securing a copy to be able to keep at the health department, so then people could borrow it from there as well. So please make sure you fill out your evaluations. Please make sure if you filled in anything on those charts, or keep them, process them. If there's any feedback you want to do, you can throw it on the evaluation or send it to me or Sam later. Thank you, Shannon, for contributing today. EA is a great place. If you haven't been a part of any of their events, definitely get connected with Shannon. And it's pretty neat. I, for example, participate in a tea party every year. And it is so awesome to sit and hang out with such a great group of young ladies. And then you have all the young gentlemen in their suits, and they serve you, and they're like, no, don't get up, sit down. And they bring you tea, and it's a lot. It's a good, fun event. So on behalf of Sam and I, thank you for coming. Sorry we're a touch late. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Please make sure you take materials on your way out. If you have anywhere that you can help, share them. Have a wonderful day.